Welcome back to another edition of Cajun Classic Cars TV. It's sunny in Lake Charles. Well, it is sunny in Lake Charles. You hear we're photobombed right now with a leaf blower, but it's also sunny right here. Sonny, tell us what car we're going to be talking about.
We're going to be talking about my 1965 Ford Thunderbird convertible.
Can't wait to talk about it. It's kind of a partner to an episode that is near and dear to us when we showed our 65 hardtop. We'll put a link in the description for that as well. We'll find out about this awesome Thunderbird coming up on Cajun Classic Cars TV, brought to you in part by Vicari Auction and also Goodwood Hardware and Outdoors and great fans like you.
Your cars are the stars. Cajun Classic Cars TV.
We're in Lake Charles, Louisiana, a mix of Creole and Cajun culture, located in southwest Louisiana. It's just on the edge of the Acadiana area of the state, home of several casinos, the Louisiana Pirate Festival, and a Mardi Gras museum. Lake Charles is the most humid place in America, with an average 90% relative humidity year-round. So, Sonny, tell us a little bit about your love of cars. What got you into it, man?
Well, I have been working on mechanical things. I'm a licensed aircraft mechanic. I worked in a motorcycle shop. I used to race motorcycles. And then I got into cars. My first one was a 1955 Chevrolet four-door, burned a lot more oil than it did gas. And then a 1955 Chevrolet convertible, which I spent a lot of money on. I bought it for $50, spent a lot of money on it, and sold it for $350 after I had it repainted, new top, new interior, and I thought I had the world by the tail. In any case, after that, I bought a Porsche, 1971 Porsche from a doctor, and it leaked oil like you wouldn't believe. I lived in Miami, and I was going to school in Gainesville. From there, I drove it home, and I ended up using about 5 quarts of oil to be able to get to the house, drop the engine out, which is no big deal, lengthen the push rod so that they would seal better, and that was the end of that. And then from there, I bought a 1966 Pontiac Le Mans overhead cam 6. That was a running car. I don't know why they quit making that 6-cylinder. It was really, really tough. And then a 65 GTO, and I don't even remember the rest. I've had a Jag. I've had 4 Jag XKEs, 2 with the 3.8 and 2 with the, no, 1 with the 4.2 liter and then 1 with the V12. But I got tired of working on them instead of driving them, so I bought the Thunderbird, and here we are.
So you've only had a couple of cars.
Yeah, really. I wish if I had all the cars that I originally owned, I wouldn't need a 401k.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, it's so funny when you think about it. You talk about $250 cars. My first car was $500, you know, back in, I don't know, early 80s. And what's really funny when you think about it, you know, if we only knew, you know, then
what we know now.
Yeah, I mean, because the value of some of those cars that were really throwaways to us as young guys, right?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
But it actually is more than that, because you learn a lot by having to do your own work, because I certainly couldn't afford a mechanic to take care of mine. And by doing that, you don't feel like you're afraid when you're stuck on the side of the road, because you've got a pretty good idea what you need to do. Just the confidence. My wife just handed me something where a man stopped to help somebody on the side of the road, and the young lady said, "Nah, thank you, you know, you can watch if you want," but she changed her own tire. And the guy went and started something for kids where he teaches them life lessons: changing a tire, checking the oil, adding oil to the transmission, checking transmission fluid, checking the belt, things that you need. They're not complicated, but it's the things that you need in order to exist safely in today's world.
It's definitely a lost art. You know, it's definitely a lost art, and I would like to see more of that in schools and stuff. But that could be a whole another episode. We'll go ahead and talk about this Thunderbird right now. So, Sonny, tell us about your 65 convertible Thunderbird.
Well, I bought it, as I said earlier, because the Jag I had to work on all the time, but it's really interesting. The 64, 65, and 66 are almost all identical. The easy way to tell is the scoop in the front on the hood. But these cars had all of the features that modern cars have. They had door locks, they had trunk release, they had automatic emergency brake release, electric windows, cruise control, air conditioning. But the difference is today they do everything electronically. Back then they did everything with hoses and vacuum. And the problem with that is that as the car got older and the hoses began to leak, it starts sucking in air to the carburetor that is not metered with fuel, and it makes the car run really, really bad. And then to change all of that, you'd end up having to rip the car apart in order to get all the hoses out. In any case, this right here is called a roadster cover. It was actually made by Ford, not this one, but it was not popular because most people wanted the back seat, either for children or for other couples. So this has only become popular now that the Thunderbird has become a classic. But it comes off easily. It weighs about 25 pounds, and there's only 3 connections to pull it off. And then, of course, you've got the back seat. My grandbabies, when they were a little bit younger, they enjoyed playing underneath because they could get up into the cave and get into the back seat, and they were totally covered. So that was a fun thing for them. The T-Bird itself is very, very comfortable, but it is not a performance car other than if you think comfort is performance. When you go across a railroad track or a speed bump, you just don't even notice it. I call it my boat for 2 reasons. One, because it just floats across the road. And the second one is that if the weather's bad, I don't take it out, partially because it's a convertible. So my wife teases me all the time about, are we going to take the boat out? I went, okay. Anyway, the cockpit, as you can see, actually looks a whole lot like a aircraft cockpit with levers, and the gauges are very, very unique because they read this way instead of this way. They are analog. The speedometer has a red line that travels across as the speed goes up. Unfortunately, this one is wildly inaccurate, but it's still a really fun car to drive. You can see it has a glove box here. It doesn't have one in the dash in the front like most of the cars do. This color is called Brittany Blue. It's paint code Q, and it's a really, really nice color that changes. Right now it looks blue, and it is, but if you take a picture of it, it's going to look even bluer, and it'll be even shinier. Dual headlights, and I was relating a story that Ford, in their infinite wisdom, had a bimetallic strip in their headlight switch. So if it began to draw too much current, it would heat up and open up. The bad news is that you also don't have any headlights when that happens. Then when it cools off, it closes back down, you got headlights again. I have modified that with a aftermarket kit that allows the headlights to run on relays, and it doesn't draw much current, so the bimetallic strip never operates. All right, since we're already here, let's take a look underneath the hood. I've tried really, really hard to keep it stock and to keep it looking stock. You can see the vacuum canister is completely disconnected over there. Every old car should have a quick disconnect switch like this, whether it's this one or some other one, so that if you have a problem or if you're going to work on something electrical, it's easy to disconnect the battery from the car itself. I told you about the headlight modification. In order to keep the underneath looking pretty much natural, I hid the relays for that underneath this windshield washer bag. And I've had to do some modifications to it. I changed the fan just because this originally was not an air-conditioned car. I added air conditioning to it, and the extra heat couldn't be handled by the original 5-bladed fan. So that's one of the modifications that I've done. But for the most part, everything under here is the way that it originally was. The paint is not the original paint, but it is the original color. Okay. All right, they're the original 15-inch. I've been beat up because I didn't put white walls on when I did it, but I like them that way too. Easy to clean. They are original Thunderbird hubcaps. I really like the wire wheels, but since I had the Jags, I know what wire wheels entail, and I don't like that. The cleaning and the drying and all the rest. So I didn't put any wire wheels on it. Don't intend to. The other thing nobody ever thinks of is when you put wire wheels on, you've got to run a tube because the spokes, the caps that go through the rim, don't seal. Now they do make some now where they put RTV inside and close it up, but with age, they start leaking and then you end up with flaps, and you're not happy with that. Plus now with a tube, you can't find anybody to fix one, and the only way you can get a tube replacement is to buy it online, and they're expensive. They're like $25 a piece for a 15-inch tube of nothing special. Anyway, it's they've held up really well. The car is very, very heavy, so it tends to plow if you try and turn too quickly with it. But the bottom line is, I have not had any kind of problems with the wheels, tires, or anything else.
And you're still making use of the fender skirts?
I like the fender skirts. I didn't think I would, but the fender skirts, I thought they would be tough to get off and on, but they're really not. They're easy. The worst thing is you got 4 little pins that you have to line up, and then it's got a lever that you clip in behind. So they didn't turn out to be nearly anything that I thought it was going to be. And I do like the look. I like the long flowing lines. And that's one of the things I really like about this convertible is that you notice that when the top is down, the good news is when the top is down, you've got a nice clean line. The bad news is when the top is down, you don't have a trunk. So if you're going to travel, you actually have to have the top up, which gives you the back seat, and it also gives you trunk space for suitcases. This particular Roadster cover that I was telling you about, you can put the top up with the Roadster cover in place. I didn't know that when I bought it, and I was kind of wondering, you know, how am I going to use this thing? But it works out fine as long as you only have 2 people. All right, let's hop inside and let's bring the top up. First thing is the top unlocks. You can see it coming up. And then the rear deck lid goes up. See why you don't have any trunk when the top is down? It's all folded. It's got 4 folds down into the bottom. That's the new pump. That was the problem why it wouldn't work before. There's a set of relays here, and there's another set of relays there. And it's a really interesting system, and we don't have time to talk about it. But this is the, for information, the taillights are sequential for the turn signals, and this is the box that actually causes the sequence to take place. The jack is underneath that panel on the other side over there. That pulls up once the top is out of the way. You want me to go ahead and close it all the way?
Yeah, just so we could see it in action. This was an extreme luxury car at the time that it was manufactured. You can see that you have vent controls. It tells you up on top here what each of these are. There's a clock, and it's been replaced with an electronic clock, which is not working right at this second. Wipers and the washer. And then these are some things that we don't use. One was the antenna, automatic antenna, raise and lower, and I forget what the other one was for, but it was vacuum operated. May have been the door locks. And then it's got the little lights that come on to tell you when the door is open. The air conditioning, and remember I told you this was an aftermarket air conditioning, but if you look at it, it looks like it belongs here with the little 3 little outlets. It was made specifically for the 64, 65, 66 Thunderbirds. The gauges, as you can see, they read horizontally as opposed to an analog. They are analog gauges, and you can see this is a really low mileage T-Bird. It only has 77 miles on it. What I really, well, you can't see it though, but this on is, I'll send you a picture, but it's what we used to call lounge seats back when I was a kid, because they've got that big.
Oh, that's
curve.
what mine does. Yeah,
yours
and I
does
love
that
it.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to take a ride? We'll put the top down and enjoy the sunshine. Notice a smile on my face? It's because I'm driving this convertible in convertible weather. It is wonderful. Everyone should have one.
So off camera, we talked a little bit about what kind of mileage you suspect you're getting. Or I should say, rather than MPG, we should say gallons per mile or something.
The old saying about it'll pass everything but a filling station is perfectly true. You can watch as the speedometer does this. You can see the gas gauge do that.
Sonny, thank you so much for sharing the story of your love of cars and your 65 Thunderbird, man.
You're quite welcome. Come back anytime.
Thank you so much for inviting us to your humble abode, and we are glad to be here showing this great content like this. Be sure to tell your friends that we're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Carrier Pigeon, and our website, CajunClassicCarsTV.com.